This is Tecker 911, episode 55, Mobile Computing. I'm Michael Plasmeier.
And I'm Gdovin.
And today we're going to talk about mobile computing. So basically we've set up three form factors that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to talk about a variety of things that you can do with your mobile computers on the road and which type of form factor is best for you. So the best type of form factor is the PDA phone pocket form factor. So examples of this: conventional phone,
N800, internet tablet. I love this. Broken Motorola Q. They don't come broken.
Right.
Only if you let Reed use them.
Motorola Q. Other things that would fit in this category are the
iPhone.
BlackBerry,
the iPhone.
An iPhone like this. Basically, it's a pocket device, and some of these phones are able to make calls over the cell phone network. Most of these devices are able to use Wi-Fi in order to access the internet when you're in a Wi-Fi hotspot, like in your home. Some, like the Q, if you have a data plan, will allow you to access the mobile internet, or what I call cell phone internet, which we'll talk about in episode 60. So these form factors are good because it fits in your pocket. As we said, some of them have phones, like this has a phone in it, like the N800 doesn't have a phone, that only
But
works
you
in
can
Wi-Fi.
if you can Bluetooth pair it to a phone, you could use it as a phone.
Right.
So it's not... Only if you don't have a Bluetooth phone to pair it with, it's not a phone.
Right, but generally not a phone. So we have that, basically pocketable. Then we have the mini laptop. And actually those devices cost between probably less than $300 and even less, especially if you have a phone and you have some sort of phone service and you get it subsidized with new 2-year agreement. Another category that we're going to talk about is the mini laptop. These cost between $300 to $500. Examples of this are the EEE PC and the CloudBook. This is an example of a CloudBook. HP and Dell have both announced products like it. The MacBook Air maybe would be considered part of this category because it's very thin and light, but the MacBook Air has the insides of a full-size computer
and the price of a full-size computer.
And the price of a full-size computer.
$17.99.
Yeah, so it's expensive, whereas these are $300 to $500. So I kind of count the MacBook Air as part of this. There's also the thin and light executive models, but these are like $1,500 too. Some of them include a CD drive or not. But actually, for this mini laptop category, I'm going to only include these devices that cost between $300 to $500. Generally don't have a CD drive. Most of them run Linux, which is an alternate operating system. Some of them you can install Windows on, like
the EPC you can, and the CloudBook, if you do some skilled hacking, you can do it. It's harder than on the EPC.
This one, Reed, is running Windows XP on it. So you can run Windows XP on it, or you can just run the Linux that it comes with. And what you can do with these is you can access internet with Wi-Fi, generally not with the cell phone internet. So with Wi-Fi, it has an actual keyboard you can type on. Most of these pocket-sized things either have a really bad thumb board or have a virtual keyboard. This one has an actual physical keyboard, not full size, and Reed tells me that this is very hard to type on. So, but it does have a USB port for 2 USB ports if you want to add an external keyboard. And this one even has a DVI app, so you can actually hook this one up to your external monitor, like our TV here.
This is an example of the touch keyboard. This is the bigger version, so it can be seen, but it's usually is the N800. That's the normal size. I mean, I can use it with the stylus. I have a few more typing errors than usual, but I don't type very well either way, so
when we get to
no difference for me.
When we get to the tasks, we'll talk about that. But and when we get to the tasks, we'll talk about what this is useful for. The last option is like a full-size laptop. So you can carry around. This is like a conventional type laptop.
Kind of heavy.
More towards the desktop replacement end. As we said, they're like the executive laptops that companies have been making for years. They cost between $1,500 to $2,000. They generally have midline processors for a notebook, midline spec, so they can run the full software. Anything that you can run on Windows, you can run on these mobile computers. MacBook Air is an example. I think we closed it.
Control-Shift-Tab or Control-Shift-T.
Yeah, here we go.
MacBook
Air. This is an example of one. Again, $18,000.
$1,800.
$1,800. Yes. Also, another example here is this is a more towards the thin and light end for a laptop. It's also a tablet. So, whereas this can also be a conventional laptop, it also folds flat as a tablet, and then you can use the pen to write on it. And this runs a full version of Windows Vista. This one runs. So I can run everything in here, like I have my Outlook open in here. But then I can also write on it and take notes, for example. Like that, I can write on it and take notes. And when I want it to work as a normal laptop, it folds around and I can use it in the conventional way. But something like this is a little more thin and light than something like that. And
also a little more expensive.
A little more portable. But yes, this is expensive. This was list price for about $2,000. So it is on the higher end, but it works as a full laptop, full Windows Vista, a really good processor. So those are your three choices: the pocket-sized, the mini laptop, which have pretty slow processors on there, and you could load like Windows on this, but it runs that slowly, and it doesn't run it really well. Or like a full-size laptop in a mobile form factor.
But I've actually seen things online where people have done video editing on the EPC. So it's possible, but it's probably very tedious, and you don't want to do it. You probably want at least this, if not a really powerful computer.
Right. So, yeah, that's a good point. Video editing, we can talk about that as one of our tasks that we'll get to. But let's say the first task is something like calling. So you can make calls if you have like a cell phone, and the cell phone has like limited calendar and contacts. Well, it has contacts, but it might have a limited calendar. Maybe has email, probably doesn't. But something like a PDA, like an iPhone or a BlackBerry or the Motorola Q, which uses the cell phone networks, you can make calls on. And also, if you have a data plan, which are expensive, unfortunately.
At least $30 a month you're talking.
$20 or $30 a month. In addition to what you're paying right now for voice service, you can use the internet pretty much anywhere in anywhere in a city. Only works where there is data service coverage, so not in the middle of the desert, but in the middle of any populated area, you'll probably get data service coverage. In Havertown, we get data service coverage pretty much anywhere. But as I said, you're going to be spending $50 to $80 a month in mobile phone charges. So that's the advantage of this. And also for these cards, as we'll talk about in our cell phone internet, you can get cards and plugins for the laptops which allow you to access the mobile internet. Yeah, so there you can...
We talked about PC cards in an older episode. They're shaped like this. This is just a placeholder so dust doesn't get inside the slot.
So really, if you did want to access the cell phone internet, you could do that from anywhere. So let's talk about web surfing right now. So you could surf the web on this if you had a mobile data plan. It doesn't really work. The web browsers on there don't display it nicely. The mobile internet is still slower than your internet at home. It's a low screen size. The websites look all weird. The iPhone does a better job of displaying websites like you want, but it's still slower than using a full-size computer.
It's actually pretty decent, though, because I just used one for the first time hands-on,
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, actually, I still prefer my N800 for internet use.
Right.
Because this browser is pretty powerful for mobile, at least.
Right. Pretty powerful for mobile. It won't run some of the more higher-end AJAX sites like Yahoo Mail or Mevo. It'll stumble on those, but it'll read, your basic sites, and it reads the mobile versions of websites really well. This is probably like a step up from the N800, slightly larger screen size. Probably runs sites like Mevo slightly better. So those high-end sites. And this runs the web really better. So this runs it just like a regular computer. So you can have lots of tabs open, lots of things open at once, and you get like a full-size experience. The problem also is time to turn it on. So from turning, like when you first want to turn it on to go to a website, this is pretty fast, that's pretty fast. This you still want to boot up, but computers like this, you'll probably put it on hibernate or standby or turn it off every time you're not using it because the battery drain is so good.
Well, the N800 is pretty. Well, this is pretty slow to boot.
Right.
It takes at least a couple good minutes, and then you just lock it and slide it in your pocket. When
right.
you're done.
You leave. Well, when I used one of those, I left it on all day, and the battery lasted all day with it on. Whereas this, the battery lasts 3 hours of it on. So I'm always hibernating this when I'm not using it. So if I just want to check something like that is a lot faster. Let's move on to email reading. So all of the devices are really good for email reading, and especially if you have a data plan and something like this, you can just, when you get an email with push email, just shows up that you have email, click it to read, and you can read it really fast. Whereas this, you'd have to boot it up, wait for it to go online, then connect to the cell phone internet and download your email. It's slower. But then this makes up for email writing, where you have a full-size keyboard, type out your response. Something like this, the keyboard's not really good for fast typing, but if you just want to write, 3 sentences, that's good. The N800, you could use the virtual keyboard, but you're not going to be typing a book on that, hopefully. Same thing.
I've done it. I've written blog articles on this before. I've done all sorts of stuff with my N800.
So then, email writing, you could type something on that. It's fairly painful, again, also on these small little buttons on your BlackBerry. Fairly painful on the iPhone, painful as well. Next thing we have to talk about is doc writing or doc reading. A lot of these little mobile devices, some of them have limited capacity for reading documents, and by this I mean Word documents or PowerPoint presentations.
Or Excel spreadsheets.
Right. Even this has okay capacity for reading it, and of course this has full capacity for reading it. For writing them or making them, you need to do typing. So this is not really good for typing, but as we said, you can plug in an external keyboard onto that. For document creation, you might use this, but you really want to use like a full-size mobile computing for that. I think last thing we're going to talk about is media playing. So all of them are pretty good with media playing. If you just want to listen to music, then of course you should get a dedicated. Even the N800 is fairly not really meant for if you just want to listen on music while you're writing, and especially with the price too. You can just get something like this, like a plain old music player. That's this is probably $100 at Best Buy. This is your best choice if you want to just listen to music. If you want to watch video, this does an okay job of watching video.
Widescreen.
iPhone 2. Right. Now, the advantage with video or something like this and even something like that is bigger screen. So this, you'll get...
and they probably have more powerful processors in these as opposed to a little PDA, so it'll probably be less choppy.
Right.
And you'll load faster on one of these.
And this also has a DVD player that you can play your videos, your movies directly off of. So overall, what type of device should you get? I guess it really depends on what you're doing. If you just want calendar, email, tasks, you just want to read it and you do limited writing, then a mobile thing like that will work. If you want a data plan, then maybe something like this, like a BlackBerry or an iPhone would work out well. But if you're going to do more typing and stuff, then you'll probably end up wanting something...
at least something like this.
With an actual keyboard. And again, this is not really good if you're going to do a lot of typing. whereas this is better if you want to do a lot of typing. But the big disadvantage of this is price. So if you want a small-scale laptop, you're going to have to get one of these limited things with processor, and this allows you limited email writing.
And the other limiting thing with this is it's heavy.
Right.
This laptop's probably 2 pounds, approximately.
Right, and
so I mean,
this is lighter, but this
I could just throw in a bag and run with.
Right, but this you're not going to fit in your pocket at the same time. So overall, it depends on what you're doing. So hopefully, we've given you a good idea of what's possible with your mobile computer. I'm Michael Plasmeier.
And I'm Gdovin. Enjoy your media or your mobile devices.
To watch this episode again or to watch any of our prior episodes, you can visit our website, 911.tecker.net, T-E-C-K-E-R. And on the website, we have our prior episodes, as well as you can view them directly on the website, or you can download them in WMV for Windows, iPod, or QuickTime format for your iPod, or if you have iTunes installed, an MP3 audio-only version of the show, and a WMV HD version of the show, which you can download via BitTorrent that looks really, really clear and in pristine HD quality. And instructions for downloading via BitTorrent are also on the site. On the right-hand side, we have more information about us and about each of the members of the show, as well as quick links to all of our prior episodes and links to the RSS feeds for each of the formats that we release the show in, and links to subscribe to the show in iTunes if you have an iPod, an Apple TV, an iPhone, any Apple device. You can click on that link in either video or audio format. You can also, in iTunes, search for Tecker, T-E-C-K-E-R, in the iTunes store, and then you can find our podcast that you can subscribe to free. Also, if you do not have an iPod, if you have like a generic MP3 player, then you can use the you can still listen to our show if on our website you subscribe to this MP3 audio version in a feed catcher, in a podcatcher like Juice. You can search for Juice on Google, download that program, and then it'll load the shows automatically onto your generic MP3 playing device. If you have any questions about the show or about technology, you can send us an email at 911@tecker.net, or you can leave us a voicemail at 610-572-2847. Thank you so much for watching Tecker 911.